Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome once again to another IPSA Kind of Magic, the show that weekly airs topics that are of interest to both the members of IPSA, the Association of Independent Personal Search Agents. I got it right this time, Hamish. And thank you. I haven't been studying. And also to other people out there in conveyancing land. And why, you might ask? Well, today's topic is one of great interest to all. Is it wise to replace due diligence? And what we mean by that is to replace due diligence with a sort of form of insurance, indemnity per se, that sort of thing. Hamish, what exactly do you mean by that?
Well, there's a tradition, and it may come as no surprise. It's the same kind of tradition. It's decided we no longer have children, but we have kids. And we sort of drink cups of coffee on the go all the time, and all this particular sort of type of thing. An idea that came from America that rather than carrying out due diligence to fully investigate something, just grab a bit of insurance and everything will be fine. Unless you wanted to do something specific with the property you were going to buy. So what our topic is about today is a common element, and there are advantages of different types and different styles of insurance. We have spoken briefly. We'll go into it in a little bit more depth another time. However, members of IPSA, they actually follow the rules, not so much the rules, but the regulatory impact of what belonging to the Property Codes Compliance Board brings with it, which actually sort of means that any searches that are carried out by us, we have to have two different types of insurance for them. One of them is our indemnity insurance, but this is our public indemnity or personal indemnity insurance that the company carries. And the minimum value you can actually sort of have, which would actually cover you for any of these transactions, is £2 million. Now, some of us, we actually push it up a bit because we get involved with development and things like that. So as a matter of interest, we actually work at 10 million. There are a number of others who work at 5 million, but that 10 million should cover any difference between what can go wrong. Now that 10 million is to cover errors that we make. But each of the searches that we carry out, these are the local authority searches, or indeed the drainage and water searches. They have indemnity cover to the search content to the value of £2 million. Now that 2 million actually covers errors on the part of the people who are providing the information.
Right.
So should the local authority fail to get it all right, that £2 million would cover it. But of course, we've still got that 10 million cover as well. Now, local authorities themselves do not put a value. They do not offer insurance on the searches which they carry out. Now, we're not speaking about those two types of insurance. What we are speaking about is the prospect that people, what they can do sometimes, rather than, and it was brought in because of auction packs or somebody was in a desperate hurry, they just thought, aha, can we get an insurance to cover us in case something goes wrong and we can't do what we wanted to do with the property?
Right. Right. So that's a liability insurance in a way.
Oh, yes. Yes. So in effect, somebody's buying their property. They feel that they don't have time. This is where we need to be sort of very careful here, because, for example, the insurance cover that you actually sort of require, I think you can obtain it for less than £100. I will explain the two different types of insurance as well in due course. You can get it for less than £100. However, if you're willing to actually sort of speak to the person that's providing the insurance, like, for example, if you were to speak to the majority of members of IPSA, they could tell you what the turnaround time of the search was.
Right.
And if you needed the information back by a certain date, absolutely covered, spot on, no problems at all. For example, there are some councils where we can actually get the information back within 24 hours.
Yes.
Some of them even less than 24 hours. Some of them even upon request. Some of them it's just sat there waiting for us to obtain. So it's almost instant. If you said, now, can you get me on this particular council here, can you obtain a local authority search for me? I could obtain that. You know, by the end of, if I wasn't actually doing it, if I wasn't speaking, I could probably have done it almost, it depends how complicated it is, by the end of our podcast.
But those are far and few between, yes?
Oh, precisely. This is one of the sad aspects of everything. Unfortunately, it can take 24 working days. They call them working days because it's harder to work them out. But I mean, of course, what it does, I mean, there's 5 working days in a week, but of course, when you have sort of bank holidays and all the rest of it, it makes it a little bit more complicated. So what some people do, I can't get the searches in time, so I'll just cover myself with insurance. And unfortunately, on occasions, if they're buying the property for a particular reason, say for example, they want to extend it, they want to do certain things to it, if that property ends up being in a conservation area, or it's a listed building, or it happens to be in an area of outstanding natural beauty, but it certainly has conditions, it has charges against that particular property, saying
right.
certain things cannot be done, you can't do it. Now, the insurance, therefore, well, it covered you because it didn't enable you to get what you wanted, but it's a bit difficult to suggest what the value of that is going to be because you chose not to go for that additional information. Most people sensibly will, in this country, they will go for that insurance. Sometimes an auction will do it. The best type of insurance, in fairness, you can actually, on certain occasions, we know that we have had problems in the past. I mean, Hackney's one which sort of still suffers as a council. We've had challenges with Gloucester. What you can actually do, you can buy into an insurance which covers you until the results of these searches arrive. Now, that's a much safer way of doing it because what members of IPSA can actually also provide you with is information which is readily available. Right. So within 48 hours, you can have information that is directly available. Anything that you're waiting for, so you can get insurance. So you will get the main bulk of the information. And it can vary between council what the information is, but you can get that insurance. But as we spoke about before, the due diligence is a due diligence carried out by both us, because there's 2 aspects to this we need to think about. Because we go out as search agents, if you like, as researchers, and right. We obtain the information from the local authority. Once that information is received, that information is made available to the solicitor. Now, the solicitor interrogates that, and they apply their due diligence. So you've got a double safety whammy here. You've got the cover of basically somebody like ourselves who've been actually working on this for a couple of decades now, and you've got that, if you like, particularly if you're working with a qualified solicitor, experienced property solicitor, you've got that double case because they know the law, so they are going to interrogate, bringing their due diligence into it as well. So you've got 2 professionals who have worked together to not just make sure the information is correct, but to also look at what could go wrong, because as we well know, what the solicitor is making sure of, there is no risk attached to your purchasing that property. Which means
so this is all about minimizing risk in the buying process.
Yes, that's what the intention of the insurance is as well. However, the insurance cannot take away the risk because you're only insuring against that risk.
Right.
You can avoid the risk by actually getting the people who know what they're doing.
So there's no substitute for good research, because it's far more important to have properly identified where the issues might lie, so you're better informed, rather than just assuming that you can run headlong into it and that the indemnity will pick up the pieces should it not go your way.
The key word, and many of us will sort of know, speaking to certain great friends of some of the podcasts that actually go out, when we speak about our members of the Property Quorum, and when we actually speak to Silas as well, Silas J. Lees, we speak about being properly informed, so a decision can be made based upon the best information that is available.
The best available knowledge, and there's no substitute for doing that. I know a lot of people seem to think that they don't need to do any due diligence. As soon as they've got the auction pack, they've got enough. They don't even need to visit the damn thing, because they'll be covered. But that's a silly way to go, really, in my book.
It's an uninformed way to go. I think, sadly, as we well know, many people get involved with this process of purchasing a property, and they don't know the best way to go about things.
Right.
And if you're not speaking to an expert about these particular sort of matters, or you haven't spoken to an expert, you don't know quite what advice you're going to get from whom. We know there are estate agents, for example. There's excellent estate agents, and there's mediocre estate agents, and there's estate agents that are just trying to unload properties. But I know some really cracking estate agents, and I've had the good fortune to meet those sort of over time. And I would know which ones to rely on, which ones not. When you actually sort of look, one of the big supporters of estate agents has been, because this used to be the place to actually sort of go to actually sort of find out information about your particular properties. One of these massive organizations, which we speak about tomorrow morning on Property Quorum, has actually been threatened with action against it for $2 billion, because of certain aspects of what they've been doing aren't exactly sort of considered to be sort of totally, I don't know the best way of actually putting it, in the best interest of those buying properties, I think is probably the best way of looking at it, or in supporting professionals who are working at buying those properties. But more of that tomorrow morning.
But let me just jump in there. I've seen a load of people have joined us today. I think ever since that Streamyard has allowed us to put both vertical and horizontal content out there, we're now attracting a whole bunch of new audience. And welcome to the show. This is all about the activities done by the independent personal search agents, the association thereof, of which Hamish is currently chairman. And we talk about things that can affect the purchase of property, specifically from the search angle. Searching is an activity that one tends to do before one takes on a property, so as to know what could affect the ongoing promise that property provides. So when you get there, you might suddenly find that you're beholden to some church within 5 miles away of Chancery. They have to pay for the repair of their roof. Or you might find that there's some sort of tree that with a tree protection order on it somewhere within your gardens or whatever. And you might not know this unless you go through the search process. Tomorrow, I invite you all to come and listen and perhaps even play a part in Property Quorum. Property Quorum is a group of people, all of different aspects of property game. Again, Hamish McClay, current chairman of IPSA, IPSA, is going to be there. But also we have Juliet, who's a property lawyer. We have Chris, who's a provider and purveyor of houses of multiple occupation, and of course myself. But we also have what's our special guest tomorrow, Hamish?
Our special guest tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think off the top of my. Oh, We have Wendy with us tomorrow again.
Excellent. Wendy is from the First Time Buyers Club. So she is an expert and has put through many houses and properties herself, but she's also an expert in helping people who are at that first rung, how to get on there and make progress. So I welcome you all to come back tomorrow. And Hamish and I have a number of different property shows. Yesterday we had Property Matters, which tends to talk about stuff more from the conveyancing and property angle. Then today, which is focusing on IPSA, and we often have IPSA members on here talking about their experiences, and usually often telling stories of the past of difficult searches or interesting searches. And we also have on Friday, Cladding Matters. Now, Cladding Matters is particularly interesting. It talks about the current struggle in retrofitting cladding on properties post Grenfell, but also all the issues that have come since that time and the ongoing struggles of the of Steve and other people who are locked into properties that have issues with cladding. So I do invite you to come along to that. That's at 1 o'clock. Is it 1 o'clock on Friday?
It's 1 o'clock on Fridays, yes.
That's correct. So, yes. Hamish, forgive me, I saw a bunch of new people come in. I thought I'd at least tell them the purview of what we do. Hamish, would you care to take us home, please?
Well, it's almost an extension of what you were saying about the various other podcasts which we do, because one of the key elements when you're purchasing a property is knowing what you're buying into.
Quite so.
And one of the comments you made, Gareth, before we were inviting our new guests, was the particular sort of fact that many people would attempt to buy a property without viewing it even. Now, it's very, very important to view that property as a buyer. There are extreme circumstances, and it could be maybe it's an investment property or something of that nature. However, you do miss key ingredients. For example, you have signposts which say public footpath, and if you've actually bought insurance, it doesn't tell you that there's a signpost saying public footpath across your property. It's happened to be the case when some people I was actually we'd made a minor mistake. We hadn't attached a plan showing where the public footpath was, and they tried to. They're actually solicitors buying the property, and they were trying a clever one on us. And they said, oh. And at the very, very entrance to the property, there's a blooming great signpost which says public footpath. So that is why you, in a way, yes, do get insurance, do get that sort of, if you like, to cover any searches. But
yes,
wise move. The best insurance, if you are going to get insurance, is that insurance to cover the late arrival of some of those searches, which will very often be. The thing is, if everything's done on a timely basis, the majority of the time it can work unless something has gone seriously wrong. But the important thing to do is due diligence cannot be replaced by insurance. If you want the picture, if you want that holistic picture of what you are purchasing, what you're buying for your specific purpose, remember, you're buying it for your reason, not for anybody else's reason. And the insurance only comes in afterwards to cover something that could be measured from a monetary basis.
Right.
A public footpath running across your property, it might not be an inconvenience to you. It would be to me.
It might well be if you had designs on the area where the footpath is residing, like you wanted to build a hut, or if you wanted to build an outside external structure there, that would be a great inconvenience. Also, I'm not sure anybody wants the public running through a portion of your place and location willy-nilly. That seems contrary to what most people will want. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's lovely to see all of you come in. I saw another 30 people turn up. It's lovely to have you here. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we've got Property Quorum. Sorry?
May I just next week, very, very special. If IPSA members will know this already. IPSA, our Association of Independent Personal Search Agents, they will know this already. We have our annual general meeting next Thursday. Prior to that meeting, the property quorum will feature the team of directors of IPSA. Basically, you don't just have to put up with me, which is a great advantage. You have some far better looking Heather Poolgleed and Michelle Poller, who are the two other directors.
So Michelle is a director. Heather is
she's our chief executive, actually.
Chief executive, and your chairman.
Tremendous knowledge she has. So they'll be joining us next for our the property
along with our usual suspects who will be there as well.
And of course the AGM, because the property quorum is going to be on collaboration, the best people to speak to, work with when you're actually carrying out your work. And the AGM follows that. So if you're coming to the AGM, all of you members, it'll be great to actually sort of see you on board. It will be recorded, so you can actually sort of see it afterwards anyway. However, if you're there half an hour early, why not actually drop in at 10 o'clock? 10 o'clock next Thursday, you will actually sort of see the three directors there as well, discussing collaboration. And this is very, very useful for members. It's collaboration, and we will have with us, and we will be speaking to Juliet, who in fact I do a fair bit of work with her, along with sort of
Chris Gilson.
Chris Gilson. And the thing is about Chris, he's an investor developer. So basically, they are interesting people to listen to in terms of collaboration.
Both of them at the sharp end of the stick, as it were, so that they actually can tell you what really happens at ground zero. So thank you all, guys, for dropping in today. It's wonderful to have you with us. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock is Property Quorum, where Chris Gilson of Root Home and Juliet Babulal, as well as Wendy, I've forgotten her surname, apologies.
Gibson.
Wendy, of course. Wendy, the incredible Wendy Gibson of the First Time Buyers Club will be there. It's a good bun fight. Come along and have a listen. I try and keep order, sometimes fail miserably. And we're trying to talk about things, ideally trying to find a way through.
Sorry, it's not Wendy, it's Zara.
Oh, good Lord. Zara Olibukas. Okay, excellent.
Another solicitor.
Yeah, a good and friend of the show. And on Friday, of course, Cladding Matters at 1 o'clock. That Cladding Matters has reached as far abroad as Australia, and has been mentioned in the House of Lords and the House of Commons, and is currently trying to bolster the property changes in the way in which property is looked after the fact, after having been built, in order that the bill for restoration and rebuilding doesn't fall on the homeowner. It should fall on the builders, or at least the government should chip in some way. But we're working on that. Please do join us, because it's a lively discussion. But it's just thank you very much, Hamish, for putting this together. And all of you out there, try and keep a positive note. Try and keep your feet on the ground, but do reach for the stars. But at the same time, in these troubled times, please look after your mental health. Until tomorrow. Bye-bye now.